Yeah. Hello. Hey, what's up guys, Andy here from Krusty Plug, and thank you very much for joining me for today's video. Before I kind of jump into the main subject of this video, I would like to address one thing. And in one of my recent videos, one of my followers, and I also follow the guy Eddie, he actually kind of asked me ultimately what happened to my VU games, the blue cases, which you could have seen in some of my previous videos behind me there. So they all are safe, nothing happened to them, apart from I moved them lower down on my shelving system, so you cannot really see them now. What happened there, basically I had two small rows for games like PlayStation 1, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 3DS, because obviously they are lower profile cases. And ultimately I started to run out of the space, so I had to make another shelving, well, another row basically, or two. So I made two, so I made two extra rows for these smaller cases, which I already started to filling up slowly. And that meant I had to shift my VU games lower, and they are kind of hiding behind the sofa on a lower level, so you cannot really see them, but they're all safe. I haven't got rid of them, so I'm still collecting for the VU, so all is good. One day probably I will be showing a little kind of tour maybe, and showing you what's behind me in all its entirety. But ultimately it is nothing too major, and it is maybe even a temporary, so I'm just kind of trying to juggle a few things around in the house and try to find some space for my games. But yeah, I'll cross that bridge once we come to it one day. So today's topic is, or subject is, some more games I have picked up in recent times. Not quite recent maybe, it's probably been about now a month, about 4 weeks ago. And what happened that day, I was actually traveling to some nearby towns to check out some charity shops, and I cannot really remember, maybe even do some Facebook trades. But I stopped in this nearby town in one little shop which I knew was there, and this little shop is like a workshop basically. These guys repair things like telephones, tablets, laptops, computers, etc, etc. And they also have a little kind of retail outlet where they sell things like phone cases, screen protectors, cables, and so on, some accessories basically. And amongst everything else, they also had, or still have, a selection of DVDs, and also they had some games. I actually stopped at that place month ago, and I managed to get some games out of there. I think it was mainly Xbox One games back then, and I paid a really good price for some decent games. But I stopped there to ultimately check whether they still had any games left, and you know, what was the deal, and so on. So when I stopped, it transpired they did have some games left. I spoke to a lady there, and I kind of said, what's the deal with your games? And she says, we basically want to get rid of them, so take as many as you can, and I'll charge you £1 per game. So I basically, there was a little kind of like a basket they had with games all piled in. So I basically cleared out that basket and took all the games that were pretty much left, bar probably 3 or 4 games that I left behind, which were basically like FIFA games that are not worth even £1. So I cleared it out, and it came to a total of 26 games. So I went to the counter and I said, well, I picked up 26 games, some of them missing manuals, a few are maybe a bit scratched. Can we do any deal? And she says, well, what about £20? And actually at that point I realized that was kind of the number I kind of subconsciously had in my mind when I was walking up to the till, and or to the counter. And I said, yeah, okay, fine, I'll give you £20, and I'll take them all. So I ended up with 26 games. Now, I did have some games already in my collection, so I'll show you also the ones I picked up, which I did have. So ultimately there will be a few games I picked up that will end up going into my kind of trade selection, so I will be able to trade and hopefully get a few pounds. I'm not entirely sure, I didn't really divide up, so whatever that comes out, you know, you can divide it, so if you divide £20 by 26 games, so I'm not sure what's the kind of the total cost there. It works out like 90 pence per game, or even less. I think it's even less, you know, so it's about 80 pence or whatever it is. So I had a really long day at work, so I cannot really think straight. So the math is the last thing I want to do now in my head. So whatever it is, you know, it was less than £1. So let's dive in and quickly go through and have a look at what I managed to get in this little £20 Bonanza deal. So first of all, one lonely VU game I picked, but unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look, I did have this in my collection, but I should be able to get at least £2 or £3 for this and trade it, and it is FIFA 13. So a copy of FIFA 13, so that is a copy I already had, so no use for me, but I will be trading it. So then I got some PlayStation 3 games, and there was a few games I didn't have actually in my collection, but 2 games that I picked up in this pile actually I did have, and the 2 games I had are Ridge Racer 7 and also The Darkness. So these 2 games I had, so these will be traded along with the FIFA game. Now we're moving on to some more PlayStation 3 games, and these all games I'm going to be showing you, and I think there is how many? 8. I think 8. Yep, 8 games. I did not have in my collection, so ultimately I am quite happy to add these games to my collection. So let's have a look what I got there. Right, the first game is Brothers in Arms Hills Highway. Got a sticker attached to the back, so I don't think I could peel it off, so it's kind of baked on. But it's complete, and again, sticker and manual, but nothing too major, so for what I paid, I'm pretty happy. Then the next one is Kane and Lynch. I think it's Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days, or is it Kane and Lynch Dog Days 2? I'm not entirely sure, but it's a complete copy. So of course didn't have this in my collection, so quite happy to have it now. Then we have here Dark Sector. I've never really well, I never really played this, of course, obviously, because I didn't have it, and I actually don't know much about this game, so this is a complete copy as well. Then very well known franchise, and it is Devil May Cry 4. Unfortunately, this is not complete copy, so the manual is missing. I have never really, speaking of Devil May Cry, I have never really played the series. I always had a kind of a vast interest in the series, and I remember back in the day when the first game came out, I think I had it on some sort of like a demo disc. I never actually, somehow Devil May Cry series is one of the game series I never really ended picking up and playing, but I remember playing the demo of the first game, which was only like about 20 minutes long or something, and I absolutely loved it. I straight away thought, oh man, this is the game I want to get, but somehow I never got the first game, and then kind of it was a knockoff effect, and ultimately I didn't pick up any games after that in the series. So I really would like to find some time, sit down and actually play all the games in the series and enjoy them, because they really did appeal to me. So I am kind of happy to pick this one up, albeit it's not complete, but yes, I'm hoping to get round one day and play it. This is kind of, I think, based on the film, probably, and it is Beowulf the game. I have never watched the film, so I'm not really sure whether it's any good, actually, but this is not complete copy either, but nonetheless, I didn't have it in my collection, so happy to add it. Then this one here, I think something tells me it was one of the PlayStation 3 launch titles, possibly, or it was either a launch title or one of the very early games for the PlayStation 3. And if I'm mistaken, then tell me otherwise down below in the comments. But it's Haze. So somehow it was one of these games I did not have in my collection, and it is complete, albeit the manual is a little bit curled up, but nothing too major. So yeah, so that's another game that I did not have going into my collection. Now then, this is another kind of game series. I'm trying to remember, there was definitely 2 parts, but I cannot quite remember whether there was any more than 2 games in the series. But it's one of these series, again, I have not played, and it is Army of Two. Did not have this, unfortunately the case is a little bit cracked, but it is complete. So for the money I paid, I'm quite happy to keep it, and then if I pick up a mintier copy somewhere down the line, I always can swap it out. And then the last but not least in my PlayStation 3 range is Turok. I have never played this game, and I don't think I really have played much other Turok games in the series. So this is complete as well. I have, I think, played some Turok back in the day on PC, but that's a very distant memory, so I cannot remember much. So wouldn't mind checking this out at some point as well. So yeah, that was the last PlayStation 3 game. Now I'm moving on to the Xbox 360 pile I have there, and I'll start with a few games that I picked up as part of that deal, which I actually do have already, and ultimately these games will be traded on for a little bit of credit or just the money to spend on some other goodies. So first of all, we got Mirror's Edge. Then we got Zumba Fitness, Join the Party. Your Shape Fitness Evolved, which is, I think, Kinect game, so with Zumba. Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. Dead Rising, the first game. And then, actually might keep this because it's sealed. I do have this game already, but it's sealed copy of Kinect Adventures. So this is still sealed, so I might actually keep this for kind of collecting purposes. And I have mentioned this in my previous videos recently. Even the games, and I haven't checked it really at the moment, but even the games I pick up that I kind of do know I have, or I end up picking up kind of not knowing that I have them because I haven't really kept track of all my games. I'm working on it as well. So sometimes if I pick up the games that I end up, realizing that I do have them in my collection already, I still go and check my existing copy, because sometimes what happens is my existing copy might not be in particularly great condition, and then I pick up another copy which ends up being much better copy, and I swap them out. So yeah, I need to go and actually check what is the script there, and whether there is anything from that little pile I can salvage and exchange. Alright guys, so the next little pile here, which I have, I think 9 games, are Xbox 360 games that I actually did not have in my collection, so I'm happy to add more games to my 360 collection. So first of all, a little bit beaten up copy, but complete copy of Payday 2. I played Payday on my Steam, and I'm trying to now remember whether it was the first game or this second game. I kind of did enjoy it. I didn't play it a lot, but I played it a little bit and I enjoyed it. So that's Payday 2 for 360. Then another a little bit beaten up copy, but I did not have this in my collection, so it's going into my collection until I maybe get a bit mintier copy to replace it, and it is Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. So this is getting added, and with this one here I had a little bonus. It is actually also complete, so just going to show you. So there's manual, And inside that game there was 2 discs, the game disc and also a copy of original Red Dead Classics. So I ended up with kind of a loose disc, so yeah, I will keep that for now because I do have Red Dead but not the Classics edition, so I keep that one, and if I end up maybe picking up somewhere the Classics empty case, that will let me to complete it, but we'll see. Now this game, I did have the base game in my collection already, but this is the Game of the Year edition and it is Dead Island. So ultimately slightly different version, so this is going into my collection and it is complete. So yep, that's a keeper. Then we got Def Jam Icon. So this is going into my collection. Of course it does, or it is. And it's complete. I think there is a little... Oh, no, there isn't. I thought the manual is a little damaged, but it's not. So then another sealed copy, and I thought that I actually had this, and I didn't at all. So I didn't have even unsealed copy, and it is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So sealed copy, however there is a little rip on top, so I probably will end up opening this up at some point, but I'll keep it as it is for now. And then speaking of Army of 2 games and series, as you've seen, I had one on PlayStation, and I have Army of 2 the 40th Day on Xbox 360 now as well. I actually cannot quite remember whether I had the first game. I think this was second game. I don't know whether I do have the first one for my 360, I'm not entirely sure, but nonetheless I got this one now, and it is also complete copy. There's a little bit of some sort of writing on a disc, but I'm not really bothered about that. Then I normally kind of don't pick up sports games, but for whatever reason I did pick this one up, because these are maybe a little bit rarer than football games, which, you know, is really popular in Britain, and because this one here is ice hockey, so I don't think ice hockey is in such a high demand here. I know that some countries, for example North America, you know, ice hockey is big sport, so is it big sport in my home country, Latvia. But yeah, sometimes these games actually hold a little bit of value. I'm not sure what this game is, you know, what sort of retail value it has, but anyway, I picked it up and it is NHL 2K6. And I did not have this in my collection, so I'm still quite happy to add this, and it's complete with nice and very clean manual. There's actually like a reverse sleeve, there's some advertising I think on a sleeve, yeah, which is pretty cool. Then we're moving on to, and I'm not sure how it's properly pronounced, I think it's Call of Juarez. Sorry guys if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, sometimes my English fails me, but it's Call of Juarez Bound in Blood. I did not have this in my collection. I'm not sure if I even played this. I dare to say I played this. This is complete as well. I dare to say I have played this on my PC, on my Steam account. I have 1 or 2 of games in the series in my Steam account, but I'm not sure whether it was specifically this game or one of the other games that was released either just before this or just after this. But anyway, so I didn't have this in my collection, so that's going into my collection as well. And then the very last game, speaking of FIFA games, is FIFA Street 3. So I did not have this in my collection, and this is the one that is kind of out of the normal, because your normal FIFAs, you know, like FIFA 09, 10, so on, you know, 20, 21, they pretty much lose the value pretty quick once, you know, the kind of the years go on. But some of these spin-offs, like FIFA Street, for example, I think they do tend to keep a little bit of value. Again, I'm not entirely sure what this actually retails for, but I believe it was definitely worth picking up for just under £1. And this is complete with manual, and so I didn't have it, so it's all good. And that's it, guys. So that was the last game from this £20 Bonanza pickup I had about 4 weeks or so ago, and just never really got round to make a video and share this pickup with you guys. But that's it. So thank you once again for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Nothing too crazy, but still, you know, every game I pick up that I don't have in my collection, I'm super excited, even if it's like sports game. But as long as I don't have it, I'm happy to keep it added to my collection, because ultimately I collect all the games that are out there for any platform. So if I don't have it, I'm keeping it. So I'm not being snobby about any specific games or genres or anything. So even if I don't necessarily might ever play the game or enjoy it, I'm still going to keep it in my collection, because I am kind of like a completionist as far as my game collection is concerned. But that's it, guys. So thank you very much. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, if you're new to this channel, then please consider subscribing as well. And if you have anything to say at all, please drop me a comment down below, and I will be happy to see your thoughts or your comments ultimately. Okay, guys, I shall see you very soon in the next video. Take it easy.